We've heard a lot of really cool things today, and one of the things that was going through my head as I was sitting there listening to Paul's good wrap-up at the end was great. Thank you, Paul. You heard about POCs, you heard about the developers and bringing things up and spinning them up, in a day, and the things that we've been working on, and all of the behind-the-scenes work that we've been doing as a consortium, and all of our individual members working and then working together with the developers that we embrace. And I'm really happy to say that I think we're at this precipice, we're at this pivot point now where things are going to be moving a lot quicker. You saw some of the numbers that Paul was showing and how we've moved a lot more things through the steering committee. We've moved more things into the code base on both the core and the proxy. We've got developers that are very interested in coming in droves and coming here to party with us as well. So I think what we're going to start to see, and John Ellis made a mention about next year, right? And I think at our developer conference next year, I think it's going to be a very, very different message, which is very exciting, and I'm very happy about it. We're going to be talking about the things that are in the vehicles. We're going to be talking about the apps. We're going to be talking about the cool capabilities and services that all of our members are putting out there. Right, when we started talking about this a while ago, we as Ford, we brought AppLink out to the public, and we open sourced it. John, who was up here, actually was the spearhead for that. He was the one that said, we need to do this. This is how we need to survive. And it was very foretelling. And so that's kind of what I'm going to talk about today, is how we get into this position of we're not doing POCs and we're not spinning up something for a hackathon. We're delivering product into the open. We're monetizing. We're monetizing as members. We're monetizing as an OEM, and our developers and our content providers and our brands are monetizing as well. And all of this happens through an ecosystem, right? The SDLC is sitting in the center of an ecosystem. And whether your ecosystem is like these ones up here, where it's hardware driven, it's data driven, or it just reaches into everything. An ecosystem is sustainable when you've got input from all the different parties. You've got to have consumption, you've got to have product, you've got to have development, you've got to have people that care about it and show up and do things like this. You've got to have project maintainers like Livio, who spends all of their time and effort making sure that this works for Ford, for Toyota, for Mazda, for PSA, for all of our members. So when we talk about these ecosystems, and I talk about monetization, nothing that I'm going to say in these first few slides is an indictment of any of these companies. It's not about them as a company. It's about where we sit as the automotive industry and where we have to protect and work together with some of these other ecosystems in order to survive, in order to monetize. One of the things we're trying to do, and we've been very public about this at Ford, is to not be a dumb pipe. We don't want to be a rolling piece of hardware anymore. We want to monetize on content and services and mobility, and we want to be trusted for it, and we want to be able to show that we're doing good things with our owners' data. We want to make sure that we are moving forward as a 100 and almost 20-year-old company now, and being able to monetize in the way that the data economy allows us to in an ecosystem. But these incumbent ecosystems are very big. They're very strong. They've got millions and hundreds of millions of users. We're just spinning ours up, right? That's what we've been talking about. So we've got to be able to make an effort to work together to figure out how do we maintain our area, and then how do we work together with those other ecosystems? Because this is the cherry on top. This is why Ford is becoming a mobility company. This is why you guys are developing to be an SDL. This is why we have a great and strong membership now, is because bending metal, which is what I was told the term is that we do, isn't going to make us this kind of money, right? We're talking about rideshare economies. We talk about all the ability to do multimodal transport. Just the days of just building a car, sending it out, and making a couple $1,000s off of it, they're gone. So these guys know this, and these guys are prepared because this is what they do. This is their ecosystem. And they're telling us this is what we're going to do. So we shouldn't be surprised when we see Android Auto in a car. We shouldn't be surprised when we see CarPlay in a car. And yes, they're in our vehicles. They're in every vehicle now. Because we didn't know what else to do. We know our owners want them. We know our owners want the ability to get the content. This is why SDL exists. This is what we have to do as a consortium. This is what we have to do as a community to build our ecosystem together, is to rival how good they are. It's not about the competition, it's about trying to get us up to their level and making sure that we can control it and work together with them. So one of the reasons that we as SDL and we as AppLink or any other branded name that goes along with it is we have to pay attention that they don't always play well with others, these ecosystems. So you can get anything you want at Amazon.com. I'm an Amazon Prime member. I'm actually quite amazed at how many boxes show up at my apartment all the time, and I actually have them delivered to my mother's house and my father's house. And so, again, not an indictment, I like them. But you can't get everything at Amazon.com. If you want to get Chromecast, if you want to get Google Home, sorry, can't get it there. So folks over at Google say, hey, Mr. Bezos, that's kind of cool. You know, your Fire Stick, you know, your show? Yeah, sorry. Can't use YouTube on that. These guys come along, and every time, and again, no offense to my friends at Apple, and I've got quite a few over there, every time I put up a piece of Apple image, I hear the Darth Vader music behind me. Like it's coming over the top of the screen, and it's gonna come to me. And they said, yeah, you guys are real cute with that. Neither of your stuff is gonna work on ours. Oh, and just to show that we're not screwing around, your little friends, they don't work on ours either. So good luck with that. But you say, I'm just a Spotify user. I don't ascribe to an ecosystem. I'm not an Apple fanboy. I'm not an Android trash can, or whatever that little thing is that runs around. I just want to listen to my Spotify, man. I just want to listen to my music. So, quick comparison. If you go and get Google Home, all Spotify users are capable. If you've got the Alexa, you can use it if you're a paid Spotify subscriber. And what, were you not paying attention? It's not going to work. Sure, you can use AirPlay, you can figure it out, but it's not compatible to the speaker itself. So this is the issue, is that this is what's going on in our cars. This is what they're bringing into our cars. This is why SDL is important. This is the spot. This is the flag in the earth that says, here's the point, we can't keep doing this. We can't allow these things to go on in our vehicle. You're gonna make a decision on a 40 or 50 or some of our members an $80 or $90,000 vehicle based off of a $600 or $700 phone? That's a little backwards. They're not bringing the choice that SDL enables. They're not bringing this community that we're trying to enable in our own vehicles, let alone letting us monetize off of them. So these guys that have been touted for knocking down the walls, knocking down the walled gardens, are putting them back up. They're saying, you know what, you can get something, but you can get it on our terms, right? This doesn't work in the automotive industry. This will allow us to fail, miserably fail. So we are trying to make sure that we don't fall into this smart category, right? Smartphones came out, smart watches came out, smart TVs came out. They talk about smart cars now. But how smart is it if you're the one that's manufacturing it and you made money when you sold it, but then you never make a dime off of it again? It's a dumb pipe. It's not a smart car at that point. This is what SDL is trying to solve and trying to help solve, and this is why we want developers here. And this is why the next spot is now talking about the happier part of it. And on the happier part of it, we've got our developer friends and our developer community. So the perception, and the perception is reality, as we all know, and the perception is because the marketing teams at our place, the marketing teams at every other OEM are talking about these third-party ecosystems. You see a television ad, and they say, we've got CarPlay. They say, we've got Android Auto. Well, if it's in every vehicle, then why? Hey, we've got tires. Hey, we've got a trunk. You guys should come check out our car. We've got this brand new thing. It's called a trunk. It's awesome. If it's ubiquitous, why are we promoting it? We're building that perception that you can only get this cool stuff through this other thing, through this other ecosystem. So here's a list of, this is what you can get, the types of apps that you can get in CarPlay and in Android Auto. Now, you can actually get all of those in SDL as well. Huh, go figure. little bit better opportunities as well for our developer friends. You don't have to worry about proprietary only services. A little better services for our owners so that they can make better choices or their own choices. The habits that they've built outside of the vehicles will now come into the vehicles. So in the example that I used before, you've got Siri or you've got Google Now. With SDL, we can enable either of those if we want to. If Google or Apple are happy and want to do it, we'd love to work together. But we also enable all of these other types of voice providers, voice engines. Right? Within SDL, on the technical side, you can put the commands into a voice engine that's embedded in the vehicle. You can take raw audio and pass it back out. You've got all of those capabilities, so why not use them? Why not embrace these developers to find these cool things and let owners choose what they want to use? Because we've got more opportunity. All of these different types of services, all of these enhanced features that we're going to talk about. You've got owner apps. You've got all the stuff that's already in the third-party ecosystem. So again, there's nothing wrong with the third-party ecosystem, but we are offering more. SDL enables more. So let's figure out how to come together and let's monetize off of that. You can see some of these examples here. So one of the big ways, the big differentiators that we've got with SDL is we can enable access to vehicle data. This is not something, I can't speak for every OEM in the world, but this is not something that most OEMs are allowing the third-party ecosystems to do. So if you've got an app that's enabled through CarPlay, you are not going to be able to get access to those vehicle pieces right there. Now in our hackathon, a bunch of the teams were using those. You saw some in the presentations. You saw some of the innovation that can be done. Why we do these hackathons and why we talk about embracing developers, or why I've said it like 17 times in the last 15 minutes, is because we understand we can't build all of these features. We can't build all of these apps, all of the services, all of the content. It's the smart people, it's the innovators, it's the small companies, right? I mean, we're Ford, we've got 200 million employees. These small groups and these innovative groups, individuals, all the way down to one-person teams, can take these different pieces of vehicle data and say, hey, what if I put this together with this, together with this? And that would be cool, right? That's awesome. And we take a look at that and we're like, hey, would people use this? And if people are going to use it, let's make it available for them. We don't have to create it. If just because it wasn't built in our plant doesn't mean that we can't enable it. But we've got to be able to do it and A, monetize it for us, and B, monetize it for its creators. So a couple of examples of that are UBI, user-based insurance, and fuel. So I'll give you a couple of examples on how this is used, and this is kind of going to tie into some of the examples that you saw as well a little bit earlier. So with fuel, ExxonMobil, actually, we have launched this app. This is a capability that is on the road today. It's an SDL-enabled app. These are live, not live. It'd be kind of tough to do if the car was moving and we're trying to do it here. But these are actual screens from a Sync 3 vehicle and the ExxonMobil SpeedPass Plus app integration. So we allow them to get fuel level. They're pulling the fuel level, and when they pull the fuel level, then you get an alert. So, of course, you've got your dummy light, which goes off in my vehicle at 50 miles to empty for some reason, and I haven't even looked into how to change it, but at 50 miles it thinks that I need to get fuel. So you can set your level in the app and say, I want to be at 10 gallons, I want to be at 4 gallons, give me an alert when my car stops running. You get to set it. So you get this alert in the vehicle, which is a timely place to get it. And then once you get that alert, now the application pulls the GPS from the vehicle and says, hey, here are the 3 or the 4 or the 5 closest ExxonMobil stations. And as one of the teams talked about earlier, it's going in the right direction. It's not giving you a station that's behind you. So if you say, hey, great, I want to go to that ExxonMobil station right there. We then have that ability. The app can then send that location to the embedded navigation. And now we can route you there. So now, not only did you find out that you got your dummy light in the app, you found out where to get it, now you find out how to get it. I mean, if you know how to get there, sure, you probably don't need the nav route. But if you're on the road, you're doing Chicago to Detroit, and it's 4 hours on the road. I don't remember which exit is which. I don't know which one, where they're going. It might be, I might have turned off and it's 5 miles down the road, so route me to it. So you get to the station and it goes back and uses GPS again. So now it uses GPS and we've geofenced the station and it says, which pump do you want to use? So now you pull in, you say, I'd like to use pump number 1, or you press number 1. You get out, you put the fuel in, you get back in the car. You didn't have to pull a credit card out. You didn't have to take your gloves off in a cold Detroit winter and try to press something. You just got out, fueled, got back in. The station unlocked it, verified whatever you set up as your receipt method. If you want it emailed, if you want it texted, if you want a physical receipt, they've got all that set up in there, and it all automatically happens. So this is an example of a real world application that is using SDL and is using the vehicle data. And this is a type of opportunity that can be monetized both for the OEM and can be monetized for somebody like ExxonMobil. So what if you say, that's great, Scott, but I don't make $10 billion a quarter like ExxonMobil. I'm a small developer. Is anybody here developing for a UBI? No? Yeah, well, this isn't going to be as funny then. I was going to use them. I was going to bring them up on stage. I was going to give them prizes, but that's fine. We can do it. We can do it another way. What kind of car do you drive?
Me?
Yeah.
I have a BMW.
BMW. Well, today you're driving a Mustang. Cherry red. So, I mean, at least it's a nice looking one, right? Come on, man.
That's what I drive.
I could have given you a Pinto. It's a Ford vehicle. It's relevant. So, June, right? All right, yeah. So June, when you get in your Mustang, you've got your phone with you, and you get into it and you say, hey, I'm gonna pair my phone over Bluetooth because I wanna be able to make hands-free calls. So when you pair your phone over Bluetooth, all of the apps that you have that are SDL enabled register on the head unit. So Paul's actually gonna be doing UBI now because he loves talking in front of people. So we'll point him out every once in a while. So Paul's creating a UBI app. So his UBI app, user-based insurance again, by the way, registers just like all these other apps. So, June, what's your favorite radio station? Bullshit. You're a millennial, you don't even know what radio is. You're listening to Pandora. So when you get into Pandora, sorry guys, I know we still got some of you back there. You're listening to Pandora. Pandora is an SDL-enabled app. It automatically starts because that was the last thing you were listening to when you were in the vehicle. And you start driving away. So now Paul's UBI app is saying, hey, I've got permission to get vehicle data. Give me this vehicle data. So Sync in a Ford vehicle, and the other head units have their own method, says, hey, you are right. In our policy table, you've got access to driver braking, to seatbelt status, and to speed. So now Paul's UBI application is pulling this information in, and it's taking it through Bluetooth, going into the app, and it's going straight to his servers. It's not coming into Ford. We're not scrupping it. We're not selling it. We are letting him transport, and we are the gateway allowing him to do that. So once it gets to his servers, he of course has this magical algorithm, because all developers have magical algorithms. Everybody's got the same one. Lots of UBI guys come to us and want to work with us. I'm sorry, it's a very, very similar algorithm. But yours is probably special. Remember that. Ding. So you put your little special sauce into it, and your UBI app now is returning a driver score, it is returning a lucrative score, it is returning you're not very good at driving, but your application now is gone through this entire cycle. And so what does that mean? That means Paul is making bank. That's how you monetize off of it. Now, the OEM, because of this, because of the value chain, the OEM has the opportunity to sit in the value chain as well. We can monetize on that as well. Now, the nice thing about SDL as an open source consortium, as an open source platform, is there's not a mandate. There's not a mandate that this is how you monetize. This is open. The business agreement is open between the developer, between the brand maker, whoever's bringing this content in, and the OEM. It does not filter through the SDL. The SDL doesn't take a cut of it. The SDL does not dictate how it's done. It's up to each OEM and each developer or each brand partner to do that together. So these are the opportunities. There's a ton more of examples that I can show, but you guys are probably really sick of listening to me. But I wanted to be able to show this because this, as I said in the beginning, as we're reaching over that tipping point, over that precipice, and we start picking up steam, the work that you guys have done as developers is not going to go unheralded. It's not going to be throwaway work. Even if you just, in a hackathon, you came up with something, you started working on it. Hold on to that. Keep working on that. Go back to smartdevicelink.com. Visit developer.ford.com. Utilize those Slack channels. Keep working on it because the day is going to come very soon where we can figure out how to monetize that together. We can figure out how our ecosystem, the SDL ecosystem, is going to be beneficial for everybody. So with that, we've got a question that we have to go through every OEM. It's, do we allow third-party solutions, third-party ecosystems to maintain and turn ourselves into that dumb pipe? Or do we work together? This is why SDL exists. This is why you guys are so unbelievably important to our ecosystem. Because I work for an OEM and I want to be on that side of it. I like having a paycheck. It really makes my life a lot easier. So with that, I want to say thank you to everybody. Cannot express how appreciative I am for everybody for coming, for taking the time, for sitting through, listening to me a few times, and learning a lot of stuff from all of our other speakers who came from all different walks of life and are partnering with us. So keep working at it. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you again very soon. Have a good one.